Bobby Atwater. One of my favourite characters of Jurassic World Rebirth, and honestly, the best character in my opinion. But that is my opinion, and not the wider audience's. Why is this? Well, that's because he was one of the very first characters to actually die off in the movie, and unfortunately, he didn't really get to showcase all that much. Played by Ed Skrein, you'd expect this character to have a little bit of a bigger role in this type of movie, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. So that's why here today I want to talk about this character and go ahead and vent about the wasted potential in this character. Because again, as I said, he was my favourite character in the whole entire movie, but nobody else's. Jurassic World Rebirth has now been streaming on digital platforms for nearly a month now, and with Primitive War releasing just yesterday, it's exciting to go ahead and talk about more dinosaur movies once again. Hopefully more people will get the access to Primitive War, but for now we're going to be discussing Jurassic World Rebirth, and as I said, Bobby Atwater, we need to talk about it basically. But before we do, go ahead and press that like button if you enjoyed this video at any given moment. Make sure you're subscribed for your daily dose of Jurassic content as we come closer to the end of the year and we're closing in on 300,000 subscribers. And be sure to go ahead and let me know in the comments, did you like Bobby Atwater? But for now, let's talk about the wasted potential in this character from Jurassic World Rebirth. So when we take a look at Bobby Atwater, he was played by Ed Skrein, and he is such a big actor in Hollywood. He was the main villain in Deadpool, he's been in other movies, and honestly, if you were to tell anybody, oh, do you know about Ed Skrein? 9 times out of 10, or 9.5 times out of 10, they should know who this person is. And he portrayed Bobby Atwater in Jurassic World Rebirth. Unfortunately, Bobby Atwater had a total of maybe about 5 minutes of screen time, but he had a decent amount of screen time to talk about. This character, in my opinion, was without a doubt my favourite character despite his short appearance in the movie. And I just enjoyed every single moment on screen. But it seems as though David Koepp and Universal didn't quite feel the same way about this character, and that's why I believe he is the character with the most wasted potential of the movie. Sure, there are other characters like Nina, but personally speaking, I don't really think that there was too much shown about her. Leclerc was very impressive throughout the movie, and I feel as though he died at the appropriate time, but Bobby Atwater, he died off way too soon. So let's talk about that. And I know some of you are going to be saying right now, Swerve, why do you enjoy Bobby Atwater so much? Well, he was the only person to draw conflict to the rest of the crew other than Martin Krebs. When the Mayday call went out, we can see that he was visually agitated to the fact that he wasn't getting that money quicker because he wasn't getting that DNA quicker of the Mosasaurus. And you kind of actually see that because the disbelief in Scarlett Johansson's Zora Bennett when he said that all they have to do is float around for a couple of hours was a really big cue for me to think, hold on a second, I think there's potential in this character to draw more conflict out of the group than just Martin. And I feel as though this is where Jurassic World Rebirth kind of failed. Sure, we kind of expected Martin to turn on them and go off the rails, but at the same time, I was kind of expecting at least one other person to do that throughout the movie. But instead, we only got Martin. There was nobody else in Jurassic World Rebirth causing conflict, and this is where I believe that Bobby Atwater would have come in. It would have been nicer to see his personality become even more of a dickhead personality as the movie went on, because not only Martin is caring about the money, but also Bobby Atwater. It's clear that he doesn't care about people surviving or people living, he only cares about obtaining that $10 million that was up for grabs. And should Nina have been killed off in the regular way and we scripted Bobby Atwater to be in later in the movie, I wouldn't even be surprised to see him get Leclerc killed with the Quetzalcoatl somehow because he wanted to make sure that he was alive to get that bounty. Something like that would have gone down very, very well with the audience, personally speaking. Because, you know, Leclerc and Bobby Atwater, whilst we really didn't see them interact, they are best friends at the end of the day. And to see him maybe sabotage Leclerc and get him killed by the Quetzalcoatlus later on to ensure that he's alive, to make sure that he gets the money, now that is a personality arc right there. I would love to have seen his character kind of go downhill, but in a sense of going uphill at the same time, if that makes sense, throughout the whole length of the movie, rather than him coming across as big macho man in just 5 minutes of screen time. So the opportunity to see him get Leclerc killed to make sure that he's alive for the money really would have set the tone about who this character is, especially that it's halfway through the mission portion of the movie as well. Now, not only was Bobby wasted throughout the movie with his potential, but so were the Mutadons. The Mutadons in Jurassic World Rebirth just felt so wasted to me. I felt like they just kind of appeared, didn't really do anything, maybe kill one velociraptor in the background that everybody hates. But other than that, again, it just didn't really do anything. And I assume that this is where the horror aspect that they were teasing before the movie released is supposed to come from, but I did not feel that whatsoever. I didn't feel any horror with the Mutadons. So the best way to rewrite these Mutadons instead of just wasting them would be to kill off Bobby Atwater instead. Can you imagine underneath that vehicle where we have Zora, Martin, and now Bobby? Martin and Bobby jump into that vehicle, Martin has the case, Bobby drives away and leaves Zora behind. And whilst all of this is happening, the Mutadon ends up killing Bobby in that same vehicle. And this could also be like a little callback to what happened earlier with the Velociraptor, but also in Jurassic World when the Pteranodon killed the co-pilot. That way, using that scene, you've had enough time to develop Bobby's character, and you can also use the Mutadons in a better way and actually get them a proper human kill to someone that actually kind of deserves it. So that way you don't waste the Mutadons and make them just so boring. You don't waste Bobby Atwater, who has a lot of character to him and actually causes a divide amongst the group. You can actually use these two things to complement each other instead. But for some reason, David Koepp decided to not do that. I have been made aware that there were earlier scripts to include Bobby Atwater throughout later in the movie, and again, I'm sat here many times about Rebirth questioning, why didn't you do that? That's a much better option. Bobby Atwater just had so much character to him. I felt as though that he definitely had a character to flourish, not only in this movie, but in the franchise if he wanted to continue. But the more I think about the potential of this character, I think as though maybe he would have been a better solo character just for this movie. And what I mean by that is that he's only going to be used in this movie and then killed off later on. I mean, we kind of already see that that's going to happen. We saw that with Martin as well, but it just would have felt a lot nicer to see a Mutadon kill Bobby Atwater after he's been a dickhead this whole movie. You know, he hugs Zora at the start, he's happy to talk to Mahershala Ali's Duncan Kincaid, he talks to even Martin about that and tries to scam Martin as well, and then as you go on, you start to realize that he has some traits about him who's only really money hungry and doesn't care about the people or the souls alive. So honestly speaking, I feel as though Bobby Atwater was a completely wasted character. He is of course a very good character for what we did get to see in Jurassic World Rebirth, but again, I just felt like there was so much more to him that we could have seen, and it just upsets me every time I watch the movie because there was so much more potential in him, so much more. But yes, Bobby Atwater still is my favourite, I just wish we got a little bit more from him. But yes, in today's video, I really needed to talk about this because it's been irking me for well over a month now, and I've said so many times that Bobby Atwater is my favourite, and loads of people look at me like, what? Why? So here's my explanation for it, because I see so much more in his character compared to the 5 minutes that we ended up getting. So hopefully, you know, they don't do something like this with a better character later on when they do incorporate new characters into the sequel to Rebirth. But honestly, I just needed to get this video out of my system. Hopefully you guys agree, but I'm interested to know. So head on down to the comments, let me know what you thought of Bobby Atwater in Jurassic World Rebirth. And do you think that this re-script that I discussed earlier in the video is a better way to portray the character? Please do let me know, because I can't be the only one who thinks this, right? Anyways, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and be sure to subscribe for your daily dose of Jurassic content here on YouTube. But most importantly, make sure you're all staying safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Hey, did you enjoy the video? Well, why not leave a like and subscribe for more Jurassic content? I appreciate every single one of you for reaching this point into the video and supporting me this far. If you wish to support me even further, then feel free to head on down to the description where you can find links to donate, my Patreon, and you can also press that join button to become a member here on YouTube and gain access to some awesome emojis. A massive thank you to all of the YouTube members for this month, as well as the amazing fans over on Patreon too. Your extra bit of support really goes a long way. But for now, I wish you a great rest of your day.